Hi guys, it's been a minute. Um, Life, it's been busy. Frontline healthcare worker here, so it's been nuts. But I'm still here. I'm still doing the best I can to stay safe. I hope you guys are too, because I will judge you really hard if you aren't. Wearing a mask outside is not the end of the world. Please do so. Trust me, I have to wear an N95. Those things give you headaches, and I have to wear one for 8 hours, plus a surgical mask in the hospital. You'll be fine. Anyways, we're not here. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Carole Tuesday and how much I don't like the show. I can't say I hate it. I don't hate it. The music's great. The characters around the leading characters are actually pretty interesting. It's just so disappointing. You have, I guess it's just one of Watanabe's really like much weaker works, because everything else he's done has been, or at least has been in charge of, has been pretty solid. But this, no. It's like a very close but no cigar type of thing. Because in the second half of the series, which I finally got around to watching, and I'm still annoyed with how little the girls know of, you have at least one other character that, no, two other characters. One they were somewhat familiar with. I guess they knew his music but not his name. And then another character which is in that world the equivalent to Whitney Houston. Beautiful voice, great start. I'll get into that in a little bit later. Not much later. It's not going to be very long. But it's like, I don't know, something about this show. You have the issues of the immigration, refugees from Earth, Tuesday's mom having a anti-immigrant stance, influenced by some pole master guy that she had in her campaign, who's the mastermind behind all that hateful rhetoric, which her mom isn't even, like, doesn't even believe in the first place, but she'll do whatever she can to win. And it's like all of this effort was just for naught. Like, it's so much but not a lot. There are so many questions raised. Okay, you have artists or creators being deported because they're on Mars illegally. A rapper that Carole knew in her orphanage days back on Earth. He rapped about how terrible the anti-immigrant sentiment was or is or whatever. Um, what else? Sorry, I'm like moving, adjusting the camera a bit. Sorry about that. He's deported because he expressed himself about that in a rather aggressive way. Again, camera movement. Sorry about that. Yeah, in a rather aggressive way. And then you have Skip. That's his name. The one who dated Crystal. We still don't know that story. I don't know why they brought it up. Um, is it Skip? Yeah, it's Skip. I'm sorry. I don't even bother remembering their names anymore. Yeah, so he released a new song about the same thing, and him and two of his friends or his group mates were approached by the police and thrown on the ground and told to shut up and be handcuffed and thrown in jail. Three black men in the street. So you have that. You have, okay, you have artists expressing themselves, and it's like, okay, well, where did this come from? Artists are being political in their music, and all of a sudden they're being arrested for it. Who's in charge of that? Who's doing that? Certainly not the senator. The president? We don't know anything about him. He's running for re-election, but that's it. I'm not 100% sure if he has much of an anti-immigrant stance. He really kind of doesn't. Again, you don't know much about him. Okay, Spencer, her son, is a part of the campaign too, and he's expressing how, like, telling his mom, like, hey, don't go that route. That's dangerous. The guy in her campaign is like, don't worry about it. being sinister and all that crap, being an ugly toad, politicians. Um, you learn not much more about Angela. She wins. She works with Erdogan, who goes bankrupt because of his AI manager steals his money and runs away with it. Erdogan, literally, this story bounces around. Nothing's linear. Nothing's linear. Okay, they're just bouncing around. Erdogan goes bankrupt, is at the bottom of the barrel. Literally, this is resolved in 2 episodes. Not even an episode and a half. This is resolved. He's not really humbled by anything. He's just more cooperative. That's it. Okay, so you have the girls, both Carole and Tuesday. They didn't quite win the competition, but they're still getting attention. The record company in charge of that competition offers them a deal, but it doesn't give them the freedom that they need. So they decided, Gus just kind of sort of decides for them, like, nah, they'll be independent artists. Cool, great, whatever. So they go hunting for this legendary record producer, which, surprise, surprise, the girls never heard of. And they go to a favela. The slums of Rio de Janeiro. They have a slum like that in Mars. So they go with their expensive equipment, which children have tried to steal off of their backs immediately as soon as they walk in. I'm like, what? And of course, a majority of these kids are dark. Majority of the people living there. And of course, the guy they're looking for is some old white Texan drunk who's rude but has a great ear. Like, he's an asshole. Tells the girls that all of their music is crap, but one song is less crap than the others, and it's like, this is not necessary. It really isn't. Okay, so you have that. You have Angela, who gets a stalker. Okay, guy tries to kill her new assistant, who comes off as stalkers, but he's just a big, weird, creepy fan, but he's not the stalker, because he literally almost gets killed, and he's like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit. I'm like, I don't blame you. Like, he quits. He's like, nah, like, I'm not doing this. Nope, I almost died. So then you have that. You have, on Angela's end, like, one thing after another. She works with Erdogan. That turns out okay, but then her mom gets sick. Before that happens, Tao gets, like, he goes on the run or something, because the same campaign manager as Tuesday's mom approaches Tao to work for him. Tao's like, no, I'm not doing that, to manipulate people into voting for this candidate. No, I'm not doing that. Okay, so Jerry's his name. So Jerry's like, okay, I'll go to your boss. Tao's boss calls him in. His boss is like, do what I say. And Tao's like, no. Tao goes on the run. And Tao's like, okay, I'll F you up. And he messes up his boss by, like, hacking and pulling up, like, a whole bunch of illegal stuff that his boss did. And his boss gets arrested. And Tao is continuously on the run and essentially abandons Angela while Angela is, like, floundering. There's an AI in her image that has a song for her to learn by the Grammys. They have the Grammys. Okay, great, whatever. It's so scattered. There's still a lot more. There's the like I said, the anti-refugee sentiment thing, to the point where, all these big stars gather so they can do a whole, like, We Are the World type song. It's called Mother, because there's, like, a common theme of how moms are, whether they're there or they're supportive or they're not. Randomly, Carole's dad shows up. Doesn't really say he's her dad, but she figures it out. Apparently, he never showed up. Neither, like, him and his wife abandoned the kid at the church because her mom died and he was in prison serving 17 years. So he didn't have a choice. Like, he couldn't be in her life even if he wanted to. He doesn't try to impose himself. He just wanted to see, I guess, how she was doing or whatever. Because a lot of other people approached Carole are like, hey, we're your family now. Pay us. Give us money. You know, when you become famous, you know, people suddenly, your relatives come out of the woodwork and are, you know, suddenly claiming that they're your long lost third uncle, whatever, twice removed. So there's that. There's, yeah, the whole thing with Tuesday's mom. She still isn't really in contact with her mom. A reporter shows up, try to dig dirt on Tuesday's mom. He talks to Tuesday. Spencer tells him to stay away from her. Tuesday has a crush on him, which is like, how's that necessary? That doesn't add to anything. Okay, so that didn't know. Yeah, like I said, towards the end of the story, like I said, it was all for naught, really. You know, it ends, like, seriously, the series ends with the performance. Spencer's mom is like, yeah, I'm not all about that. You're fired, Jerry. Guess what happens to Jerry? He's just sitting there in shock in his home from being fired. That's it. Because earlier in the second half of the story, there was like a terrorist bomb threat, whatever, explosion, attack. Sorry, and they tried to pin it on this, what is it, anti-Mars organization, and they're saying like, yeah, it's the refugees that did it, and it's like, okay, y'all know this is staged, right? How would there be anybody who's anti-Mars living on Mars? Like, it was just, it was a mess. It was a whole mess. Evidence was found against Jerry for him orchestrating this thing. Guess what? Nothing happens. He's just fired. Huh. Well, this is so messy. Was he in a time constraint? Was there a time constraint to put all this? Like, nothing's fleshed out. The Whitney Houston equivalent, her name is Flora. She is washed up. You get to see a short history of how she and Gus first met and how Gus was her first manager, but then she essentially abandoned him for the big old nice record deal contract, because she wanted to do anything to get out of poverty and blah 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 blah. And then she was at the peak of her career. Then the stress became too much for her. She turned to drugs and alcohol. She became depressed. She lost traction. Her friends abandoned her. Then she disappeared for like years. I want to say within like 20 years. Yeah, she disappeared, but she reemerged just sitting at a park bench looking like a mess. Poor thing. And it's like, again, that story with her and Gus was more interesting than Carole Tuesday's main story. It's like these girls are only there to bring together all these other very interesting characters, far more interesting characters. Going back to Angela, she's going through so much crap in her life. So the stalker, her mom, unfortunately passes away from, I think, a heart attack. Angela gets depressed. She feels like she's lost. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't really find herself, but somehow she's convinced to sing again, thanks to Carole Tuesday. She gets a visit from Tal, who's on the run, and he tells her that she's basically a test tube baby. Angela's a test tube baby. That's all we get from her past, and Tal knows, because he's one too, because he was created by the same guy. I'm like, why all of this? What? I'm disappointed. I'm severely disappointed. It was bad. It was just bad. I didn't get the point. Why? And it's like so much unresolved. Literally, the end was like, the story continues. in your hearts. I'm like, nope. I'm not. Mm-mm. I can't do that anymore. This is so disappointing and terrible. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I've forgotten a couple things, whatever, to tell you guys. I don't care. Please excuse the sirens. I'm in my living room. Nothing soundproof. Whatever. Um, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. I hated it. Carole Tuesday was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like, I just wish they did a better job just expanding. Why does it have to be so short? You're gonna put so much. Like, okay, take Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo. There was a lot in those shows too, but they were wrapped up or touched upon in a way that didn't make the main characters less interesting. You know, Cowboy Bebop had enough side characters and fillers to keep the show going without a lot of plot holes. Because there were episodes that were about nothing, kind of, sort of. Same thing with Samurai Champloo. Both shows kind of essentially are centered around vagabonds. People who are lost, or people who lost their way and are still slowly finding their way back, or found family. Carole Tuesday has similar themes, but it's stagnant and it tries to go somewhere, but it's weirdly stagnant. I don't know how to say it, but for the most part, it just doesn't have, it's just not the same. It's not tightly written. There's a lot of holes. A lot of touches and goes. Touch and go. Touch and go. Big deal. Very lukewarm, very cold resolve. So, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. I mean, there's a reason why I was very, 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 very stingy about shows, I guess, because of problems like this. Why I was very hesitant on going back to it. I mean, I didn't have to, but it's like I wanted to see how the story ended because I heard about the anti-refugee thing going on. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I should, go into that. God, it was so disappointing. So if you guys want to, if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and watch. Sorry, spoilers. If you have seen it, let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you guys liked it. Let me know if you felt satisfied with the ending. If not, tell me why. Or if you have, tell me why, because I'm not. But otherwise, please keep a lookout for other videos. These sirens are consistently going off. I am so sorry. Literally all day. Nothing until I started recording this. So I don't know what's going on. Yeah, just let me know. What do you think of the show overall? And I didn't say my name. Sorry, I'm Paolina of Afro Anime Initiative. Check out our stuff, our other videos, our reviews, and let me know what else you guys want us to talk about. I mean, I got other stuff to talk about too. I got a book that I'm reading. It's a thick book, so it's taken me a minute to read it. But once I'm done, I will get right into it and yell at you guys about it. And so far, I'm really infuriated by the story. Take good care. Please stay safe. And, yeah. Join the initiative. And, let your friends know about this too. We're doing our best to bring out more content. All right, take care. Stay safe. Bye.